Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the Cam Rogers Show on this Friday morning, March 30th, 2018. I'm Cam Rogers. Check me out on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. We've got a fun show on tap for you. We've got quite an hour, and I've got you covered here on Chat Sports Facebook Live as well as YouTube. We'll start things off with the morning headlines of the National Football League, all the latest stories, insight, and analysis from yours truly, centering on Odell Beckham Jr., Des Bryant, and so much more. So we'll get into that. And then coming up later, I am ranking the teams that won free agency so far, my top 10 teams, and then a very fun exclusive interview with a star lacrosse player, a freshman at the University of Albany, one Tehoka Nanticoke. Looking forward to chatting with him. Let's get into the NFL headlines here. We'll start things off with Lamar Jackson. And he recently met with the LA Chargers. So this coming out after reports suggested that the accessibility for Lamar Jackson really wasn't there. Like, teams were struggling to meet with this guy, and I think one of the main reasons was because his mom actually represents him at this juncture. So something to watch for there. But the Chargers, they did eke out a meeting with him. Offensive coordinator Ken Wisenhunt reportedly chatted with Lamar. NFL Network went on to report that head coach Anthony Lynn is a big-time fan of Jackson, with a good possibility the Chargers select him if he is there at number 17 overall. You have Phillip Rivers, who's 36 years old and has 2 years left on his contract. Behind him on the Chargers depth chart, well, you could look at Kellen Clemens and Cardale Jones, third-year quarterback there. So not exactly inspiring confidence, I guess, to be the successor of Phillip Rivers there. So Lamar Jackson, certainly a possibility. Now, Mike Mayock, who is an NFL draft analyst, recently spoke on the matter in terms of Lamar Jackson's accessibility and basically the inability really for teams out there to get in touch with this guy. So here's what Mayock said. You're doing the kid a disservice if NFL coaches and GMs are calling and you can't even get an appointment set. So we're saying, continuing on here with this quote, not just work out, but appointments to meet with him, to put him up on the board, to work him out, to have dinner with him. And remember, and again, I'm not taking a shot at anybody, his mom is representing him. And then it goes on to say that quote there is disservice to the NFL and all of that. So Mike Mayock chiming in about that situation with Lamar Jackson. You don't really see very often that NFL draft prospects are kind of hard to get in touch with, but there you go. Lamar Jackson did indeed meet with the Los Angeles Chargers. We'll see if Anthony Lynn and the Chargers leadership pulls the trigger on Lamar in the NFL draft. All right, next bit of news here, and it's an update on the Odell Beckham Jr. saga. So the Giants have to be literally blown away, absolute treasure chest, if the Giants are going to trade this guy. So it's a circus, this whole story, and really stems from original reports that Odell Beckham Jr. wanted an extension. If he didn't get an extension, then he would be sitting out the 2018 season. With that, the Giants are now listening to trade offers, but they're not actively shopping him. You have Dave Gettleman with his prepared statements talking to the media saying, we are not actively shopping our star wide receiver. So the latest is the Giants reportedly need to be blown away with an offer for Odell Beckham Jr., somewhere around a first-round pick, maybe another first-round pick, and then like an additional mid-round selection of some sort. Absolute treasure chest. That's basically what we're looking at here for Odell Beckham Jr. and the Giants. So Ian Rappaport drew comparisons to the Percy Harvin blockbuster trade back in 2013, which cost the Seahawks the 25th and 214th picks in the 2013 NFL Draft, as well as the 96th pick in the 2014 NFL Draft. If there was a time to do some convincing, I would think that would have been the last week, because the last week was, of course, the NFL owners' meetings. And you have a lot of big-time players discussing among one another NFL talk. And Odell Beckham Jr., I'm sure, came up in many discussions. Now, I'm sure it actually came into discussion from one Rams GM, Les Snead, and Snead has been proven so far to be quite active so far in free agency, and Dominican Sue comes on over franchise tagging LaMarcus Joyner, Aqib Talib via a trade. Now in that secondary there, so Snead is somebody to watch out for to perhaps make a run at Odell Beckham Jr. I'm certainly confident that the Rams are going to give the Giants some calls. Here's the reality. The Giants don't want to trade this guy. They don't. They don't want to have to. But this story that's coming out about Odell threatening to sit out 2018 may push the buttons of the New York Giants, where Dave Gettleman literally has to say to himself, all right, well, I guess I'm going to have to trade you. Might as well trade you rather than keep you on the team and, you know, not see you in 2018 because you're sitting out because you didn't get that extension. So the Giants may have no other option but to trade this guy because they want somebody on the football field. They don't want to be paying Odell Beckham Jr. $8 million or whatever the price tag is and not have him on the football field. So in essence, what's the point of having a star wide receiver if he's not willing to go play for you in the regular season? So Odell Beckham Jr. not on the trade block, not being actively shopped by the New York Giants. But with that said, the phone lines are open. It's kind of like in fantasy football. You know, when you guys are like saying to yourselves, you know what, we're set with our lineups. Like, I don't want to make any trade. But if a text comes my way from one of my buddies and offers a blockbuster deal, who's to say I won't read it and I won't consider it? So it's one of those situations. So I understand that a lot of people think the media is hyping it up. And I'm here to tell you straight. I'm not here to hype it up or anything like that. I'm just reporting what I am hearing. And what I am hearing is the Giants are listening, and they want a treasure chest of picks here for Odell Beckham Jr. So that's the straightforward report. All right, so from one wide receiver to another here, Dez Bryant could get cut after the NFL draft. This is not from me. This is from Yahoo Sports. There's the quote. There's the tweet. Cowboys will cut Bryant after the draft. Going to happen. And when I read this, this was actually really surprising to me. Now, of course, there is a meeting that's going to go on between Stephen Jones and Dez Bryant, perhaps Jerry Jones as well, to kind of discuss things between both parties and perhaps a possible pay cut. Cutting Bryant before June 1st will save the Dallas Cowboys $8.5 million. However, there'd be an $8 million dead money hit. So that's kind of the logic for some Cowboys fans out there. There's no point to cut Dez Bryant. You're not saving all that much money, although $8 million is a good amount, but still you have that dead money hit. Dez has a $16.5 million cap number in 2018, and this according, by the way, to Jordan Schultz of Yahoo Sports, who recently tweeted this out. So after the draft, very interesting timing. Number one, the Cowboys bring in Allen Hurns, and they bring in Deontay Thompson at wide receiver. Number two, you got the draft. The Cowboys may draft a couple wide receivers there, and the depth chart just expands and expands, and maybe Dez Bryant is the odd man out. So we have a weigh-in for you guys watching the Cam Rogers Show right now. What should the Cowboys do with Dez Bryant? What is the best way to go about things here? And I want you guys hitting me up in the comments section on Facebook Live as well as YouTube. Of course, we appreciate when you chime in on the program. So the pundits argue that cutting Dez makes zero sense from a financial perspective. And I understand that because of the dead money hit and all that. But perhaps from a relationship standpoint, there is information that we just don't know, right? We don't know the relationship between Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones and Dez Bryant. We don't know the relationship between Jason Garrett and Dez Bryant, Dak Prescott and Dez Bryant. So there is more to this than just the play on the field, which has not been good the last few years, and the money that's involved. From a money perspective, yes, cutting Dez Bryant does not make sense because of the cap hit. But what if Dez Bryant is toxic to the locker room, is a distraction, as Stephen Jones has said before, is not getting along well with the Dallas Cowboys leadership? So maybe you're willing to eat that dead money so that you can avoid this bad chemistry that's going on between Dez Bryant and Dallas Cowboys here. So the reasoning for Dez Bryant to be cut, you can kind of look to the play on the field, right? So I see the numbers right here. Dez hasn't eclipsed 70 receptions, 1,000 yards, or 10 touchdowns in 3 years, despite being paid like a top 10 wide receiver. So it's return on investment, right? ROI, great business term. You're paying this guy a good amount of money with a $16.5 million cap hit, and you're getting not 70 receptions, not 1,000 yards, and not 10 touchdowns. Just doesn't seem to add up there. And the Cowboys and Cowboys fans out there more in particular have been saying, well, it's not Dez Bryant, it's Dak Prescott. He isn't exactly Mr. Accurate. It's the offensive line. It's the injuries. It's the Ezekiel Elliott suspension. I mean, I guess you could kind of point to that, but look, the Dallas Cowboys have had a premier offensive line the last few years, a top-tier running back the last few years. Yes, Ezekiel Elliott was suspended a year ago, but he wasn't suspended 2 years ago, right? So I know football is the ultimate team sport here, and it's hard to place blame on one particular player for a team's struggles. And I'm not even placing blame solely on Dez Bryant for Dallas Cowboys' struggles a year ago. I'm just saying that we're headed in a direction where he is going to get cut, according to a Yahoo Sports NFL insider here. And who's going to be your number one? Allen Hurns? Deontay Thompson? Maybe the Cowboys get Calvin Ridley, Cortland Sutton. I don't know what their direction is going to be. They got to address the defensive line there and hopefully get a one-technique guy like a Vita Vea or maybe a Daron Payne, but that would probably be a less preferable scenario there. So it's a fluid situation here with Dez Bryant. A decision has not been made yet, according to Stephen Jones. So it's continuing to go on here, and we'll see what happens. But the report is, and this is obviously different than what I talked about on Wednesday, that Dez Bryant will get cut. On Wednesday, I talked about there's going to be a meeting. Now I am hearing word that there's going to be a straight-up salary cap casualty here for Dez Bryant. So, again, $16.5 million cap hit in 2018. The Cowboys would save $8.5 million of that $16.5 cap hit if they were to cut him before June 1st. So, there you go. Dez Bryant saga continues. I'll have more on the Cam Rogers Show about this story. But, again, a big-time shift from what I was talking about on Wednesday, where it sounded like Dez was going to be okay. It sounded like he was going to be on the team. Maybe they're just going to discuss a pay cut with Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and Dez Bryant. Just typical negotiations. Not that he was going to get cut and be off the team. So there you go. That's the latest with Dez Bryant there. Hit me up in the comments section. Let me know what you think about the future of Dez. We do appreciate when you guys throw in your thoughts. So from one Dallas Cowboy player to another here, Dak Prescott. And Jason Garrett has sounded off on him recently, saying that Dak has to get better. So he said that everybody needs to get better, which is a typical head coaching quote there. But really zoned in on the quarterback position, and Dak Prescott in particular. And it's interesting considering Garrett said the Cowboys, well, have improvements to be made everywhere, but he expanded on Dak here. We know everybody has to get it. We know everybody knows he's got to get better, and that's an allude to Dak Prescott there. So the numbers from 2016 to 2017, a little bit of a drop-off. So 3-13 win-loss record in 2016, 229 passing yards per game, 23 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 104.9 passer rating. Pretty darn good, right? 2017, 207.8 passing yards per game, 22 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 86.6 passer rating. Not quite what you want if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan. And again, football, ultimate team sport. We can point to many things here. Ty Smith on that left side, injury. Ezekiel Elliott, suspension. Dez Bryant failing to get any sort of separation on the outside. So there are many reasons here to point to, but Jason Garrett putting the pressure on Dak Prescott to improve. So we'll see what happens. Sophomore slumps are very common in the NFL. So maybe this is just kind of a small sample size of struggles here for Dak Prescott. We have a weigh-in for the folks watching the Cam Rogers Show here. Is Dak Prescott mainly to blame for the Dallas Cowboys' struggles in 2017? Is it Dez? Is it Dak? Is it Jason Garrett? Is it Jerry Jones and his leadership? Let me know in the comments section here. I've got the broadcast on my laptop right now. In fact, I also have to share it on my professional page. Be sure to like Cam Rogers on Facebook as well. So 2017 wasn't what Dak Prescott desired, and I understand that. But the unfair reality is Dak is the quarterback of America's team. And there's going to be times where he's going to be put on a microscope and he's going to have to figure out a way to kind of figure all that out and figure out the pressure. Jason Garrett throwing a little bit of that on him right now. So that's kind of where we're at with the Dallas Cowboys. They're in flux with Dez Bryant. Dak Prescott has to get better heading into 2018. Now, the Dallas Cowboys are trying to help things out there on that offensive line. Cam Fleming coming on over. They did lose Jonathan Cooper, but we'll see what Fleming can do at that tackle position. You can move Collins on inside now. And there's more turnover here to kind of look to, right? You got a new offensive line coach in 2018. You have the Dez Bryant drama. There could be a situation where Dez Bryant isn't even on the team in 2018, according to reports here. A couple new wide receivers that Dak Prescott will have to get used to in Allen Hurns and Deontay Thompson. I mentioned the loss of Jonathan Cooper and the addition of Cam Fleming. So turnover, and it's only going to get more difficult for Dak Prescott to kind of adjust to all of this. And so we'll see what happens going forward for Dallas. But the latest, Dez Bryant on thin ice, it appears. Looks like he could get cut after the draft. Dak Prescott put on notice there by Jason Garrett in terms of performing better in 2018. All right, folks, let's get to the next storyline here. The Raiders have signed Leon Hall, veteran corner, defensive back, and he's reuniting with Paul Guenther, who, of course, was a defensive assistant when the Cincinnati Bengals drafted Leon Hall back in 2007. Hall is 33 years old and appeared in 9 games last year for the neighboring rival, San Francisco 49ers. He's going to be a reserve. You look at the Oakland Raiders depth chart here. Garyon Conley and free agent signee Rashawn Melvin are likely going to be the starters. You got Sharice Wright, Dexter McDonald also in the hunt there as well. So I think Leon Hall is more of, shall we say, a mentor for that secondary there. And I think re-signing Reggie Nelson as well, a former Cincinnati Bengal, probably has that same kind of logic there. So again, you got better corners, you got better defensive backs than Leon Hall at this point, but has 27 career interceptions here. He's a 12-year veteran, spending most of his time with Cincinnati. He earned All-Pro honors back in 2009, so a pretty darn good resume. So a good veteran leadership. I think he'll be a very solid kind of resource here for the Raiders secondary and the Raiders defense in general that's going to have to adjust to this new system here that Paul Guenther is going to implement, former defensive coordinator of the Cincinnati Bengals. So Leon Hall now a member of the Oakland Raiders. Let's check in with the New England Patriots. Got a lot of news here about the Patriots. So Robert Kraft chiming in recently about the potentiality that the Patriots could draft a quarterback in 2018. Here's what Robert Kraft recently said. I'm going to put my fan hat on, and obviously at some point we have to. So with the news of the Patriots meeting with Johnny Manziel and all of this, you have to wonder if the Patriots really are going to pull the trigger on this. And Robert Kraft went on to say, quote, "Not just that, but I think what happened in the 2008 season when in the first quarter against Kansas City, Tom Brady goes out. How many people would have said that Matt Castle would have led us to an 11-5 season?" So Tom Brady's 40 years old. He just won MVP. He's not showing any Peyton Manning-esque type of decline here. But I think what Robert Kraft is trying to say here is he probably wants better insurance behind Tom Brady if he were to get hurt, God forbid, than Brian Hoyer. Because Brian Hoyer is not a good quarterback. We know who Brian Hoyer is. And he's a low-end backup quarterback at this juncture. So 2018 Brian Hoyer isn't even close to 2008 Matt Castle, in my opinion. So the Pats better decide on a quarterback they like, whether it's Johnny Manziel, Mason Rudolph via the draft, or it could be Kyle Lauletta out of Richmond too. So it looks like Robert Kraft is starting to look ahead here to the post-Tom Brady era. My question for you, watching the Cam Rogers Show, will Tom Brady decline in 2018, or will he continue to play at a high level? Give me a heart for yes, a like for no. Definitely appreciate when you guys hit those reaction buttons, as well as YouTube. Comment in the section below with a heart or thumbs up, respectively. But Robert Kraft chiming in about the Patriots and their interest in perhaps drafting a quarterback this year. So some insurance there behind Tom Brady because, again, Brian Hoyer is not very good. By the way, the last 3 quarterbacks that the Patriots drafted, Jacoby Brissett, Jimmy Garoppolo, Ryan Mallett, they all got traded. So you wonder why there's tension among Belichick and Brady and Kraft. It's because there's been no solidified backup for New England. But I'll get to that in a matter of moments here in one of my headlines about tension still there between Kraft and Brady. I'll tell you more about that. But first, speaking of the draft, Baker Mayfield. Well, he hopes to get drafted highly in that first round. He actually has a list of people, media members, who crossed the line when they criticize him. So he has a running tally of critics that he thinks that just go too far, which I think is fantastic. And Baker Mayfield is going to get his fair share of critics. Number one, because he doesn't have the air quote size that you want in an NFL quarterback, and because of his off-the-field kind of issues, I guess, the arrest that happened and all that. I think this is great. I think it'll work out well because I think he'll be a successful quarterback in the NFL, number one. And then he can take a screenshot of all of those critics who have called him out, post it on Twitter, tag them, and be like, what's up, guys? Or you know what? You should just say this. Sup. Capital S, lowercase u, lowercase p, period. Sup. And then tag all the media members that criticized him. So I am doing this on purpose. This is a strategic decision. I'm not going to criticize this guy, but I actually haven't been in the last few weeks, so maybe I'm in his good graces. I'm not on the Baker Mayfield naughty list here, ladies and gentlemen. So I firmly believe, and I've been saying this too, he's the best quarterback in this draft. And he may be the first rookie quarterback to be starting for an NFL team. So it might not be Josh Allen, it might not be Sam Darnold, Josh Rosen. None of those guys will get the first crack at things during the regular season. I think Baker Mayfield could, especially if he goes to the Jets and he beats out McCown and Teddy Bridgewater. Meanwhile, if the Giants get a rookie quarterback, they're not going to bench Eli Manning, right? I mean, Eli Manning is still the franchise, and, Rosen's more of a 2019 quarterback if they were to draft him. So that's where I'm seeing things here with Baker Mayfield. Sometimes it's better to have that competitive edge rather than get praised all the time and, he's saying you're going number 1 overall, all that. So you would probably want to be in Baker Mayfield's position rather than Sam Darnold, because if you're Baker, there's no way you can get complacent because nobody's mocking you to number 1 overall. Nobody's saying that you got amazing arm talent and you can throw anywhere on the football field, Josh Allen. So in that vein, Baker has that competitive edge, and he already is the most competitive quarterback out of this class, by the way. And now it's more fuel to the fire, more bulletin board material, if you will, kind of a Patriot type of thing. It's kind of what the New England Patriots do. When everybody hates on the Patriots, they use that as bulletin board material there. All right, so Baker Mayfield, keeping a list of his doubters out there. So, folks, probably shouldn't call him out on Twitter, just saying. All right, so let's check in with another quarterback. This guy, a former second-rounder, Geno Smith, is visiting with the Seahawks, as the Seahawks are in a market for a backup quarterback at this juncture because Trayvon Boykin kind of is in some legal trouble. So already met with the Los Angeles Chargers, who are also in the market for a new quarterback. Smith did start a game in Week 13 last year, breaking Eli Manning's consecutive game streak. You may recall that. Smith, for his career, 57.9 completion percentage, over 6,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, 36 interceptions in 31 starts. He's just 12-19. Math is hard, but that means he's under 500. That ain't very good. But Geno Smith visiting with the Seahawks, this after visiting with the LA Chargers, so there is interest in this kid. We'll see what team brings him in. I think Seattle would be an interesting one at that. They are certainly in need of a backup quarterback. All right, so that's the latest with him. Let's check in with Jadeveon Clowney. So what I am hearing is the Houston Texans and Clowney are close to an extension. So both sides are getting there. This according to Albert Breer, who's reporting a, quote, mega extension very soon. Clowney is entering the final year of his rookie contract. First overall pick back in 2014, coming off the best season of his career. Started all 16 games in 2017, racked up 9.5 sacks. According to Pro Football Focus, ranked 13th among edge rushers out there. And so Clowney's going to get paid. Blake Bortles, Mike Evans, they already got their extensions. Clowney could be next. Khalil Mack, Odell Beckham Jr. could be getting extensions soon as well. But Clowney's going to make $12.5 million in 2018. He could certainly make a lot more than that heading into 2019. So stay tuned for that. But Jadeveon Clowney going to be a big part of that Houston Texans defense, along with J.J. Watt, Jonathan Joseph, Aaron Colvin, and, of course, the Honey Badger, Tyron Smith. There's the latest on Clowney. Let's check in with the Jets here. Interesting little news nugget here, guys. The Jets have yet to work out Sam Darnold. So kind of an odd story because they've already worked out Rosen and Mayfield and Allen, but not Sam Darnold. So that's a name that's off that list. I guess the logic is the Jets feel that Darnold is going to go number 1 or number 2 guaranteed, so there's no point in doing their homework here. But it seems like their homework is an incomplete assignment at this point. It's almost like, you remember doing the homework and you were fine doing the multiple choice questions, but once you got to that essay, the open-ended response at the end, you're like, you know, I don't really need to do this, and you hand it in. That's kind of what the Jets are doing, using the grade school metaphor here. They are completing the multiple choice answers, but they have yet to do the open-ended essay, the 5-paragraph response, if you will. And the Sam Darnold portion of their homework has not been completed. Maybe they're in the process of setting up a meeting with him, a workout with him. I don't know. But at this juncture, there is nothing to tell me that the Jets are bringing this kid in for some sort of workout. So with that, let me ask you guys this. We've got to weigh in. If you were a general manager in the National Football League, who would you draft at number 1 overall in the 2018 draft? Is it Darnold? Is it Mayfield? Saquon at number 1? So just kind of visualize yourself right now. You are the GM of the Browns, in a sense. You are John Dorsey. You have a decision to make. Is it Darnold? Is it Rosen? Is it Mayfield? Lamar Jackson? Quentin Nelson? I don't know. Hit me up in the comment section. Let me know. Certainly appreciate when you guys chime in here. So really interesting question there. I'm excited to see what you guys think about that. All right, let's get back to the Patriots. I told you I've got a lot of news about them. So Rob Gronkowski is going to appear in a movie with Mel Gibson. Interesting. It's called Boss Level, action-packed movie. Don't know too much about it. I haven't read too much on the plot here, but it's starring Frank Grillo as well. The role is unspecified, but Grillo is playing a retired Special Forces veteran who becomes trapped in a never-ending loop that results in his death every day. This sounds like a really confusing movie, and I don't know about you all, but this sounds like Inception to me. But instead of dreams, it's like death over and over. So I'm like I couldn't follow Inception. And by the way, props to Leo for being a fantastic actor, but I just could not follow. So maybe I won't be able to follow this movie either. But the real takeaway here, to see that Rob Gronkowski is in this film, it leads me to believe that maybe he is leaning towards retirement, and he doesn't come back in 2018. And I'll have another headline about Gronk in a matter of moments here, but he is going to be in Hollywood, and he also appeared in the Entourage movie in recent form there. So Rob Gronkowski going back to Hollywood there to appear in a movie with Mel Gibson and Frank Grillo. We'll see what happens there. Now, a more serious headline. Bill Belichick could trade Rob Gronkowski, according to the Boston Sports Journal, quoting a Bill Belichick-friendly source. Again, don't shoot the messenger, Patriots fans. I'm just reporting. All right, so the source told him that Belichick could toy with the idea of trading Rob Gronkowski. Why is that? Well, if a player contemplates leaving the Patriots, whether it's retirement or something else, reportedly, Belichick begins to look at life without that respective player. So as such, may be willing to trade him. So the logic is that Rob Gronkowski is mulling retirement. Bill Belichick sees that as somewhat of a threat, somewhat as disrespectful, shall we say, and he looks to life past Rob Gronkowski as an effect of that. So he's already apparently looking to trade him, as such. So this again from the Boston Sports Journal, Greg Bedard chiming in on this. Compensation has been rumored to be a late first-round pick or a package of second and third-round picks here. It has been rumored, by the way, that Gronk is unhappy with being on the Patriots, but who really knows the truthfulness of that? But I want to hear from you guys. Will Gronk play football in 2018? Give me a heart for yes, a like for no. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section and in the reaction poll about Rob Gronkowski. But apparently, Bill Belichick could be toying with the idea of trading their star tight end there. I would think it'd be pretty crazy, but we'll see. Now, in that vein, tensions apparently are still there between Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. This again, according to the Boston Sports Journal. Evidently, they had a meeting recently, including Robert Kraft, and they did go through, some good compromises, but not everything is settled yet. And the two sticking points of tension, number one, Alex Guerrero, personal trainer of Tom Brady. Why? Because a lot of players are going to this TB12 sports therapy clinic headed by Alex Guerrero to go through the rehabilitation process. This clinic is just outside Gillette Stadium. Bill Belichick sees that as a threat, and players are neglecting to use the team doctors with the New England Patriots. So that's point of contention number one. Point of contention number two, a lot of the players are frustrated with Bill Belichick's decision to bench Malcolm Butler. And when you lose the Super Bowl, perhaps because of that decision, I'm not going to say they did, but it's possible, that's going to stick with you, especially if you're an NFL player, because you're competitive, you want to win, you want to get rings, and a decision like that, with not a lot of information, right? We still really don't know why Bill Belichick did this. We never will, really. That doesn't sit well with an NFL player, especially when you look at the tape and Eric Rowe got, destroyed in that game. So tensions between Belichick and Brady are still there. I don't think they're really going to go away. I don't think there's really any sort of long-standing kind of repercussions for this, because the reasoning is Tom Brady and Bill Belichick have one goal in mind that they can kind of align with, and that's winning. And as long as they win, then I don't think there will be any sort of issue there. So there you go. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, not exactly on the same page yet. We'll see if they can kind of get back onto that same page. But this Alex Guerrero thing is not going to go away, and I think that's going to continue to be a point of contention between those two parties there. So players also still unhappy with the Malcolm Butler benching. Maybe Super Bowl 52 was a change of the tide, the start of a turnover here for the New England Patriots. Is their dominance over in the NFL? Let me know in the comments section on Facebook Live as well as YouTube. We do certainly encourage you guys to be a part of the show. And when you guys comment, I, of course, will answer any questions, concerns that you may have. And I try to get back to everybody with the latest news that you're looking for. So be sure to ask me any questions as you see fit. Continuing along here with the latest headlines on the Cam Rogers Show presented by Mizzen and Main. Golden Tate could be close to an extension. Now, he's set to make $7 million this upcoming season, and GM Bob Quinn has certainly been active in terms of providing extensions before the season begins. Matt Stafford, Glover Quinn, Darius Slay as well. So maybe Golden Tate is up next here. He'll be 30, though, once the 2018 season rolls around. Now, Jarvis Landry has kind of set the slot receiver market in a sense because he's slated to make $15.98 million with the Browns. But I don't think Golden Tate's going to get that kind of money, especially because of his age. But I could be wrong. He had a pretty good 2017 season, and if he impresses again in 2018, maybe Bob Quinn won't have an option but to give him a hefty extension there. So Golden Tate could be next on the list of news in terms of extensions out there in the NFL. All right, those are your latest NFL headlines here on the Cam Rogers Show. We are presented by Mizzen and Main. These are fantastic performance fabric shirts that you will love. Check them out. Comfortable.af is indeed the website. No ironing needed, no dry cleaning needed. Mizzen and Main sponsoring the Cam Rogers Show here today. All right, so the dust has settled in a sense of the free agency frenzy. So I have ranked the top 10 teams out there that won the free agency period. Count you down from number 10 all the way down to number 1. So let's start things off with number 10. We've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so the Steelers didn't make a bunch of additions, but they were really quality additions, especially considering their salary cap position going into the offseason. Number 1, John Bostic, inside linebacker, 2-year deal for him. Solid player. He can replace Ryan Shazier for now, but keep an eye on the draft for the Steelers at the linebacker position. I'm watching Rashaan Evans or maybe Malik Jefferson there to perhaps go to Pittsburgh in that first round. Morgan Burnett, also an addition. Very good one at that. There you see the numbers at about $14.35 million on a 3-year deal. Really good safety. He was actually ranked first on Walter Football for free agent safeties out there, even ahead of LaMarcus Joyner. Not so sure I agree with that, but he's a good safety at that, and the Packers secondary was really bad a year ago, but it wasn't because of Burnett. He was a really good player in the back end there. He did grade 51st out of qualifying safeties, according to Pro Football Focus, so do with that with what you wish. They did lose Chris Hubbard, the Steelers did, offensive lineman, as well as Mike Mitchell via a salary cap cut, but that's okay. I've been impressed with the Steelers so far, and I think they'll do a good job in the draft as well. Let's go to number 9 on my list. Got the Green Bay Packers. How about this? The Green Bay Packers making a couple of splashes in free agency. How about tight end Jimmy Graham, now a member of that offense? Now, I am saying this, Packers fans, I am warning you right now. It seems like Green Bay is where tight ends go to die because Jermichael Finley never panned out. Jared Cook never happened. Now Jimmy Graham comes to town. Can he sort of, I almost want to say revive his career because he was kind of dormant with the Seattle Seahawks, certainly partially no fault of his own because Seattle's offensive scheme was like not friendly to Jimmy Graham at all. Seattle's offense was essentially, oh yeah, my offensive line isn't going to pass protect. Let's roll out Russell Wilson, throw the football up and pray. Now, I'm not going to say that Jimmy Graham is going to have an absolute bust of a year in 2018 because he's playing on the Green Bay Packers. But I am cautioning you out there that, you know, just keep that in mind. Jared Cook, Jermichael Finley, list goes on. Tight ends that really didn't work out. Deshaun Kaiser comes to town. He'll be at the backup quarterback position. Brett Hundley, yeah, we saw a lot of him a year ago, and it's just not all that great. So that and also Muhammad Wilkerson. How about that steal there? It's a 1-year, $5 million deal. And I think this is an interesting one for that defensive line for Green Bay that I think can get better and will get better with Muhammad Wilkerson. The only thing about Will is can he kind of improve upon his maturity issues? Because that was the big knock on him in 2017. Got benched because he missed some team meetings and all of that. So we'll see if his motivation is there. Some losses. Jordy Nelson, he got cut. That was really expected there. Morgan Burnett moved on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Joe Thomas there to Dallas, linebacker. So not all that bad for Green Bay. They check in at number 9. Let's go to number 8 now, a team that I really like heading into the 2018 season, the San Francisco 49ers. So they bring in Jerick McKinnon, Weston Richburg to address the interior of that offensive line. They've got Richard Sherman, opposite of Ahkello Witherspoon. Love, love, love. They did lose Brandon Fusco to Atlanta, Carlos Hyde to Cleveland, but that's okay. Honestly, Fusco is a free agent. He moved on. That's fine. He was just okay at the guard position a year ago. Carlos Hyde, we all kind of expected him to move on too. And Jerick McKinnon, I think, is a running back that, albeit got overpaid, will be very, very solid in Kyle Shanahan's zone blocking scheme. There is a reason why Kyle Shanahan was in a bidding war with the New York Jets, because he wanted Jerick McKinnon so badly. Jonathan Cooper comes on over from the Dallas Cowboys as well. He got a tattoo coming over from the Chargers, a guy who's a little unproven and I think could be a viable pass rusher there for the San Francisco 49ers, a team that did not rank very well in terms of sacks produced. So we got the 49ers checking in at number 8 in my rankings here. And are you buying into the Niners hype? Let me know in the comments section as we check in with number 7 on my list here. We got the Tennessee Titans, or the Tennessee Patriots, as you want to call them. Because, why? Mike Vrabel, the head coach, Malcolm Butler coming on over from New England. So did Dion Lewis. You know, I mean, just you could call him that, and why not? So I think they made some solid additions, bringing back Josh Klein. I like it. Malcolm Butler in that secondary will really help things. It's a secondary that did not perform really well a year ago. It's that front seven that I really like on that defense. But the fact that they address the corner position is important. Oh, hey, they got Blaine Gabbert, by the way, just so you know. He's on the Titans now. The Titans are going to be a good team. As long as Mike Vrabel gets this squad motivated and fired up, which I think he will, the Titans are going to be fine in the AFC South. Now, the Jaguars are going to be good. The Texans are going to be good. It's going to be a hard-fought division. And if Andrew Luck comes to town, or I guess comes to the football field because we haven't seen him, then it's really going to be competitive. So there you go. Tennessee Titans, they check in at number 7. Let's take a look at number 6 here in terms of teams that won free agency. We've got the New Orleans Saints, and obviously Drew Brees is the headliner here. He's not really an addition, though, kind of a re-signing in a sense. They also bring in Tom Savage as a backup quarterback. How about that, Saints fans, instilling some confidence in you with Tom Savage as your backup? Ben Watson returns, so a little bit of a reunion there, one-year deal. Jermon Bushrod played on the offensive line for that Super Bowl Saints team. Alex Okafor, really important re-signing. I love the addition of Patrick Robinson at slot corner. They're going to have a really good collection of corners. Ken Crawley, Marshawn Lattimore, we know what they can do. And then Patrick Robinson at slot corner coming off a career year in 2017, cashing out and playing with the New Orleans Saints. Saints are going to be a part of the top 2 seed conversation in the NFC. And a big reason why is because Robinson's back, or there, I should say. Okafor is back. Brees is back. The list goes on. All right, so there are the Saints at number 6. I mentioned the Houston Texans. They're going to be a team to be reckoned with. And I got them at number 5. So a couple of interesting additions here. Number 1, the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, Aaron Colvin at slot corner. They addressed the offensive line with a few offensive linemen as well. Chantrell Henderson, Zach Fulton at guard. Now, I think the secondary is really going to be improved. I think the defensive line will be just fine. The question mark for me is at quarterback, Deshaun Watson, who reportedly will be throwing during OTAs. Now, how will he come back? You know, will he be playing at that 2017 form that he had in those 6 starts before he got hurt? Something to monitor there with the Houston Texans, but a team certainly to be reckoned with, I think, in 2018. Big question mark for them, though. How does that offensive line shake out? A lot of turnover there in that front 5. All right, let's go to number 4 on my list. We got the Chicago Bears. What a job Chicago did, guys. Big need for them heading into free agency was the wide receiver position. Check mark there. Allen Robinson, Taylor Gabriel, a couple of signings there. Allen Robinson making $42 million on that 3-year deal he made with them. Now they bring back Kyle Fuller thanks to the transition tag. And they have Prince Amukamara remaining in Chicago too, so they keep their top 2 corners, which I think is very important. Sam Acho, 2-year deal for him. So you got all these pieces kind of coming together here for Chicago. Trey Burton, the tight end, I think is a solid addition too. All the pieces are there for Mitchell Trubisky to perform at quarterback. Now, all the Bears have to do is address that front 7 in the draft. I think they'll be a team that could really surprise people in 2018. Watch out for Chicago. As long as Mitchell Trubisky can really take that extra step in 2018, I think Chicago will be right there in the conversation, at least in the early going for the playoffs. All right, let's go to number 3 on my list. This team will be certainly in the Super Bowl conversation, the Minnesota Vikings. When you get Kirk Cousins, the white whale of quarterbacks in free agency, 3-year, $84 million deal, all guaranteed money, you got to put them inside the top 3 here, and the Vikings are. They also signed Sheldon Richardson to that 1-year, $8 million deal. Very, very important there to bolster that front line that I think is going to be ferocious. We're talking about the Philadelphia Eagles with Fletcher Cox and Timmy Jernigan and all this. The Minnesota Vikings are going to have a really good front 7 too, folks, so keep an eye on them going forward in the offseason, and then, of course, into the 2018 regular season. The Vikings, a team I liked to win the Super Bowl before the playoffs started back in 2017. Now that they have Kirk Cousins, I should just project them to win it all, right? We'll see. Minnesota Vikings are at number 3. Let's go to number 2 on my list. The Cleveland Browns. They were quite active. John Dorsey was a busy man during the frenzy of free agency. So Tyrod Taylor comes on over via the trade. They signed Drew Stanton, a couple new quarterbacks. Cody Kessler got traded, by the way, so he is gone. He's on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Carlos Hyde comes to town. Jarvis Landry is there at wide receiver. Chris Hubbard, offensive tackle, helps bolster that offensive line, especially with Joe Thomas retiring. Jason McCourty moving on over to New England is tough to see, but they replace it with E.J. Gaines coming off a really good 2017 campaign for the Buffalo Bills. Then you're getting the number 1 overall pick and the number 4 overall pick. Maybe it's Darnold, Saquon Barkley, 1-2 punch. I'm telling you, the Cleveland Browns are making big-time steps in the right direction. There's no way in heck they lose 16 games next season. Just saying. So Demarius Randall coming on over as well from the Green Bay Packers. He'll play at safety. Terrence Mitchell also assigning a 3 years, $10 million deal for the Cleveland Browns. So a lot of turnover, but good turnover, like big-time upgrades here on this team. So really proud of the Cleveland Browns. Go you, Browns. But they're not as good as this team. The LA Rams, they are at number 1 on my list. Why is that? Because, number 1, I like them a lot just going into free agency, and they made big-time upgrades. Nickel Roby-Coleman remains, Marcus Peters via the trade, Aqib Talib from the Broncos. You got Ndamukong Suh, re-signing John Sullivan at center. Very important from a continuity standpoint with Jared Goff. Offensive line also anchored by Andrew Whitworth. Offensive Player of the Year in Todd Gurley. So a lot to really like about the LA Rams there. That's why I have them at number 1. They won free agency. They are, shall I say it, the dream team. I hope nobody on that team actually says it because it'd be shades of the Philadelphia Eagles a few years ago. But the LA Rams made some big-time moves. So, yeah, I'd say they won free agency at this point. Unless something else crazy happens, I've got the Rams there. Are the Rams the best team in the NFC? Let me know in the comments section. I'm sure a lot of Eagles fans are watching the program right now. Let me know what you think about that question. And we certainly appreciate when you guys chime in because the Cam Rogers Show isn't just about Cam Rogers. It's about you as well. All right, so that's the latest in free agency with the NFL. I've got a very exciting interview coming up. Had the opportunity to chat with Tehoka Nanticoke of UAlbany, star lacrosse player there. That interview coming up right now. Tehoka Nanticoke, lacrosse sensation, trick shot magician, and just a freshman at the University of Albany. He's from Six Nations, Ontario, a former #1 recruit in the nation, and he's just getting started. Nanticoke has a storied background, a 2017 Under Armour All-American. He played for the Iroquois Nationals in the 2016 U19 World Championships, helped IMG Academy to a 19-1 record, putting the team at number 22 in the nation. At 6'1", 235, he has the ideal size for a lacrosse player. Playing attack, Nanticoke is second on the team in goals. I had a chance to chat with Tehoka to learn about him and his exceptional journey. And joining us now is Tehoka Nanticoke, of course, star lacrosse player for Albany. The Great Danes, Tehoka, appreciate the time, my man. Let's start things off with the fact that you guys are undefeated, as you have, of course, your mascot well represented too. How does it feel to not have a loss so far?
It's great. Well, we got to give it to the coaches and entire staff. We've been working hard all year, and I think it just goes to show how much we work all year round for this, and just going into this weekend, it's great to see.
Now, Tehoka, of course, you beat my alma mater, the University of Maryland Terrapins, of course, the defending champions as well. So what does that mean for you guys, and you especially, in terms of building confidence as you go throughout the season, beating those Terrapins?
I feel like it just goes to show how much we worked, and again, but I feel like we go against any team like it's just another game, and we prepare well, and I feel like we worked hard and we came out on top on that game.
Now, you've talked about many times before how your brother has been a big-time support system for you and also taught you a lot about the game of lacrosse. Just how important has he been for you as you go through this journey here?
It's really important. He hasn't missed a game yet, and he's been at every game so far, and he's always there in between quarters. He can just give me a look, and I know what I got to do. So he's been there my whole life, and he's been at almost every lacrosse game I've been into. I feel like he's one of the guys that I always say it's a medicine game. So I know he gets some medicine from watching me play since he's not playing anymore, and it's just great to see my family here, my girlfriend, my mom, and my brothers.
And just looking back to your commitment, of course, Scott Marr, the head coach of Albany, I want to ask you how Marr kind of won you over to commit to the Great Danes, a coach who has been with Albany for some time now.
Marr, it was his coaching. I guess I met him my sophomore year down at IMG at a fall tournament. And just since then, he's out. Like, he was the one who kind of got me to believe that I could go Division One. This is while I was still in school in Canada. He just like made myself believe that I was able to go Division One, that I had the skill and I just had to work hard to get there. And then from that moment on is when I decided to contact IMG and then got myself in there. And then I just knew I had to work hard to get to Division One. And then he was there along the whole process. And then it was his coaching set. It was his coaching. It got me here at Albany is because he's run and gun style is what I've been playing my entire life, and that's what I love to do.
Certainly going well so far this season, Tehoka. Let me ask you about this. You started playing as a 3-year-old. This is like Tiger Woods kind of stuff, playing a sport at that young. Did you fall in love with the game just like that, or did it take a little time? What's the process with that?
Honestly, when I was 3 years old, I just remember working with my brother. And I remember my first backhand goal. It was assisted by my little nephew. He's 3 weeks older than me. I call him little because I'm bigger than him now, but he's 3 weeks older than me. And that's the first kid of my eldest brother, Vern Hill. But I don't know. I guess my brother Chance was the one who put a lacrosse stick in my hand since I could walk. Honestly, it was as far as I can remember doing anything. It was a lacrosse stick in my hand, and he's the reason I'm here. And then I think he almost engraved in me that lacrosse is like what I'm good at. And that's what I like to do.
Now, Tehoka, I have some lacrosse background myself. Not much, but I do have some familiarity with the sport, although I spent most of it on the ground because I got laid out all the time. But I want to ask you here, so you being from Six Nations, is there a difference a little bit between lacrosse up there and then lacrosse here in the United States, or is it pretty much the same?
No, it's pretty much the same, I guess. In a way, it's just kids start a lot earlier there, and they're, I don't want to say more creative, but it's a lot more backdoor, and there's a lot more creativity in it because I know my nephews are playing, and they're 2 to 10 years old playing with tennis balls inside the house, doing backhands in tight spaces. I just know that that's how most kids on Six Nations, but that's what they're doing. They're having fun playing with their relatives, their friends. They're just basically having fun playing lacrosse, and I think that's what the game's about, is having fun and trying new things, I guess.
Well, you certainly have fun on the lacrosse field. You know, for typical lacrosse players, it's the right-hand shot, it's the left-hand shot. For you, it's like a million different options. Let me ask you, what's your favorite kind of shot?
Probably a twister.
Okay.
I don't really do it much, but that's my favorite shot, probably.
Fair enough. And of course, you're only a freshman, so you're just fresh on campus, if you will. Are you at that celeb status? Are people walking up asking for pictures, autographs, all that stuff? Are we there yet?
Not really. I think the only class that people know me in is my sports sociology class, because my sports social teacher actually mentioned me and talked about me for half a class. But other than that, I think it's just normal.
Run-of-the-mill stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you stay humble, you know. You just got to roll with it and continue on. And I'm sure, you know, that'll all continue well for you. So they say college is the best 4 years of your life, Tehoka. You're just starting out. Do you have any good stories for us to share? A top college experience story so far?
Not really. Rooming with Connor Fields is pretty funny. That's probably the best thing, is all our trips is going room with him. And I know, and you go in a hotel room, and the better bed's always the one by the window, and I'll always get it. But he'll never say anything because he likes sleeping by the wall. I think that's just the funniest thing.
You got plenty of years ahead of you, don't you worry. So Tehoka Nanticoke joining the Cam Rogers Show here today. Tehoka, appreciate the time, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, watch out for him on SportsCenter. Wish you all the best, Tehoka, as you go throughout the years.
Thank you.
Go Danes. All right, and there you go. Fantastic kid there, Tehoka Nanticoke. There's a look at the schedule for the Great Danes coming up. We got Stony Brook on Saturday. Hey, UMBC, the Retrievers, will take on Albany. Then you got Binghamton and Yale, the #1 team in the nation, folks, in men's lacrosse in the NCAA. Fantastic stuff there. And Tehoka Nanticoke, a name to watch out for in the future, ladies and gentlemen. All right, you're watching the Cam Rogers Show here on Chat Sports Facebook Live. I am Cam Rogers. Check me out on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. We are sponsored by Mizzen and Main. These are fantastic performance fabric shirts, sweat wicking technology, no ironing needed, no dry cleaning needed. Check them out. Comfortable.af is indeed the website. Products made right here in America and not just shirts. Talking about sweatshirts, pants, so much more. Many thanks to them for coming along here on the Cam Rogers Show. Got about 1 minute, 20 seconds left. Let's see if I can get this in here. Final word about the Rams. I'm going to tell you why they're going to win the NFC. Best secondary in the conference. Ndamukong Suh, now next to Aaron Donald. Stop it. The #1 scoring offense last season, plus room to grow. You got Todd Gurley, the Offensive Player of the Year, coming into 2018 with a lot of momentum. Jared Goff making big-time steps in his development. The Rams are going to be the #1 seed. And whether or not, you know, they go on to capture the Super Bowl is a whole other discussion. I'm not going to say that much, but they're going to win the NFC. This is a team to be reckoned with, guys. And a lot of promise with them. And Sean McVay, a fiery young coach, a guy I really like. A team to watch out for, the LA Rams. All right, folks, I'm wrapping up the Cam Rogers Show here on this Good Friday. If you missed any of the video, don't you worry. We're looping it for you, so keep it right here. Check me out on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99, of course, and always leave a comment. We do appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you Monday morning.